and welcome back. For today's video, it's gonna be a fun one. I'm gonna be sharing with you my 4 best drugstore foundations for oily skin and the 4 worst. Honestly, my favorite foundation to wear is drugstore. I have a few high-end and I prefer my drugstore. I think they are just as comparable to the high-end products that I think why spend the extra like $40 or $30 when I could get the same quality for $6 to $12. That's just how I see it, and I have found some of the best that I'm gonna be sharing with you. The ones that I will reach for over and over again when I need a foundation that is reliable and that I just love. Like I mentioned though, I do have a very oily skin type, so that is a huge factor that goes into which foundations actually work for me, which ones don't, but I'll get into that more as I go along talking about all the foundations. I just want to mention that in the beginning so that way I don't have to keep repeating myself with each foundation. That way I just say it once and I don't annoy anyone. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. First up for the best foundations is the Physicians Formula, the Healthy Foundation. This is one of my absolute favorite everyday foundations. It is so beautiful on the skin. It has a satin finish. It's breathable, it's lightweight. They say it's a medium to a full coverage, but I would honestly call this more of a light to a medium. I feel like the coverage is a little bit lighter, but it does have a little added bonus of a little SPF 20 in there, which helps make this the perfect everyday kind of foundation out and about. You get a little extra sun care in there. Of course, don't forget to put it in your skincare and everything like that. It's just nice to have a little added bonus. So this foundation just looks radiant on the skin. It doesn't look too dewy where you look very greasy, and it doesn't look too matte where it just sucks the life out of your skin. It just looks very nice and fresh. And whenever I wear this foundation, it doesn't even feel like I'm wearing foundation. It just feels so light on the skin. I just love the way that this one looks. Next up, we have the Fit Me Matte and Poreless. This is an oldie, but it's a goodie. There's a reason so many people rave about it still, so many people still use it. I mean, it's just that good. You can find it for only $6, I believe, at Walmart. I think it's like $5.94. So inexpensive. Everybody's able to get their hands on it, and honestly, it looks gorgeous on the skin. It is a matte foundation with a medium coverage. So if you do have some blemishes, it is gonna help to diffuse them and leave a very nice coverage. I don't ever see myself getting cakey or this foundation breaking apart on itself, and it's able to withstand my oils almost the entire day. Freaking love this foundation, which let me just tell you guys, before I started YouTube, this was my go-to foundation. Like every single day, this was my foundation. At one point in time, I even purchased 3 of them at once. That's how much I love this thing. I needed a backup from a backup. That should tell you something right there about how good this foundation is. Third up, we got a full coverage foundation, the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. Now, when they say this is full coverage, they mean full coverage. This is actually the one that I chose to wear today, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous on the skin. It helps to cover up any kind of blemishes you have, any kind of unevenness, which I have quite a lot of breakouts right now. I don't know what's going on with my skin, it's just freaking out. I mean, you guys have seen it in a few of my other videos, but my whole like chin right here is kind of breaking out, and it's helping to really cover those, and you can't even tell that I have them. Which this one and the one I'm about to show you next is my favorite to use on the days where I have quite a few blemishes that I really want to hide and I just need something more coverage. Those two are absolutely my favorite to go in with because I don't need to go in with any added concealer. I can just go with this on top, add a little powder, and I am good to go. Now they say that this is a demi-matte foundation, but it's more of a matte foundation. And I think that's because this foundation does actually dry down, which is really nice. It helps for the longevity of this foundation. Because it won't stay tacky in areas, it helps to withstand any kind of transfer, wearing off throughout the day in certain areas if you happen to touch your face here and there. You won't have to worry about a certain patch being gone at the end of the day. It just stays put. Lastly, we have another full coverage foundation. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear. This is a new favorite of mine, and let me tell you guys, I have not been able to put this down. Since I first started trying it, I haven't stopped using it. It's so good. This foundation has a matte yet very beautiful and natural finish to it. This one also locks itself into place, so after you apply it, you can see that it dries into the skin, which again helps for the longevity. It won't wear off, it won't transfer. It also says it's supposed to be water resistant. Gonna try that during the summertime with a pool. But it's also sweat proof, which let me tell you guys a story. I put this foundation on at about 9 to 10 a.m. and I proceeded to wear it throughout the day. Around 4 o'clock, me and my husband went to go hit the gym, and I mean full on weightlifting. We went hard. And I still had the foundation on. It was around 6 o'clock we finished, and we had to rush home, shower, change really quickly because we were supposed to meet up with his friends for dinner at 7 at a restaurant. I know you're not supposed to do this, but what I did was I just showered my body, blotted my face, and put a little bit of powder on because I didn't have time to redo everything. I had to get out the door, I had to get ready and not waste a lot of time. So that's what I did, and we went to dinner around 7, got home around 9:30, and this foundation through the full day, the gym, and then back out and going to dinner, it still looked freaking good. Like, this foundation held up so beautifully. At the end of the night, you couldn't even tell I'd been wearing it since 9 a.m. and did a full-on workout with it. Like, it looked flawless. If that doesn't tell you right there that this is an incredible foundation, I don't know what will. So these 4 are the best of the best, the ones that I will constantly reach for, the ones that I stand by and 100% recommend for you guys to check out. Oh, I love these ones. Now let's talk about the worst. Which, really quickly, I do want to mention a kind of disclaimer. If any of these foundations you use and you love, please do not take it personal. These foundations just did not work out for me in one way or another. If you enjoy these foundations, please keep using them, keep loving them. I have nothing against anyone else using them. They just didn't end up working for me. So yeah, let's get into it. The first culprit on the worst list is by Maybelline, the Super Stay Full Coverage Foundation. Now, this foundation was raved about by so many influencers months ago, and I honestly think it was overhyped. Everyone and their mom was using this foundation and talking about how much they loved it. I mean, it was just all over the place. So I picked it up for myself to give it a try, and I could not get it to work. This foundation has to be the cakiest foundation that I have tried to date. It will gather in different parts, it will sit in all of your fine lines, and just the coverage on it is so thick that you are very aware of your foundation. It doesn't feel like it forms to the skin, it just sits on top, which to me is very annoying because at that point you just feel like very sticky. You want to wipe it away because you feel that layer on your skin. So every time I wore this foundation, I just wanted to wipe it off. The next worst foundation I actually don't have anymore. I threw it away. It is the Almay Best Blend Forever foundation. Most of the time I do hold on to the fail foundations because I do like mentioning it to you guys when things don't work. But that foundation, it has a sponge on top that you're supposed to use to apply in the makeup, which is absolutely horrible. It doesn't work. But that sponge actually molded. And it was so gross. I tossed it out the second I saw it. I was like, ooh. No clue what happened to it, but that thing went in the trash straight away. But as for the foundation itself, it was horrible on my oily skin. I started getting oily with that foundation 2 hours in, which for me is way too soon to start being oily, and it just progressively got worse and worse and worse. So if you have to go out and about, live your life, go to work, be out for the day, you may forget about your foundation. You may not be able to look back at it 2 hours later, have something to powder down with it and fix the problem. You may look at it in 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, and if you have an oily skin type, you would look like a disco ball by the end of the night. That foundation made me look so greasy. I would have to constantly be powdering throughout the day, and for me, that just doesn't make it worth it. Because like I mentioned with the best foundations, I don't have to do that with any of those, so why should I need to try to make that foundation work for me? Also, the foundation itself by about 6 hours in had worn off entirely on my nose, my chin, the jawline. All of this foundation was just gone. It was like a magic trick and just half my foundation was gone. No clue what happened to it, just poof, gone. Third up on the list, the Wet n Wild Mega Cushion Foundation. This was another one that I actually heard a lot of rave reviews about. A lot of people were really enjoying this, but again, for myself, I just couldn't make it work. It is a luminous foundation, but it doesn't actually leave me looking oily or greasy throughout the day, which is quite nice. That was a bonus, I guess, to this one. There was a little bit of shine throughout the day, but it could pass off for just the luminosity or dewiness to the foundation. But where I ran into issues was that it settled into all of my fine lines. It settled really weird around the nose. And for me, it just felt really heavy on the skin. And when I wore it, my husband even commented how cakey my foundation looked. He was like, "What are you wearing? That looks horrible." And when your husband comments on your makeup, you know it's bad. Like, they do not comment on it unless it's really bad, or you ask them and say, "Oh, does this look good?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, it looks good." So that's how I knew this foundation was just gonna be a definite no. This foundation was way too cakey on my skin. Also, with the kind of cushion foundations, I understand these are supposed to be more of a convenience thing. You're supposed to be able to apply your foundation anywhere at any time and just boop, boop, boop. But you get half of the amount of a regular size foundation and you pay double the price. Like, that's just my thought process. Like, this was like $14 and you got 0.5 of an ounce, whereas they had a Wet n Wild little bottle of liquid foundation for 1 full ounce for $6. You know, so just a little something there too. Then number 4 on the worst list, the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Stick Foundation. This one's a recent one, and I was kind of debating putting it in the worst because I was like, you know, is it really the worst? In comparison to the other 3 that I talked about, it's kind of minuscule, if you will, but this foundation for oily skin types just does not work. You would have to powder constantly with this thing. It leaves you looking so oily throughout the day, and I mean, if you do powder, it is able to help take away some of that shine. I do think that it sits really beautifully. It does look great on the skin, but a huge downside to this foundation, which I don't think a lot of people know. My good friend here on YouTube, she actually told me about this, Crystal K Beauty. She had actually let me know that this foundation does have a lot of oils inside of it that actually clog the pores and cause breakouts. So if you were to constantly keep using this foundation, you would see a lot of issues in that realm. And I wanted to throw that out there because for me, that is 100% not worth it to keep using a foundation. If you were gonna start breaking out because of it, I mean, it's kind of like, bye-bye, and no thank you. I'm happy that I just used it a few times, so that way I didn't see any real blemishes start to form. With my skin right now, it's also kind of freaking out. It was freaking out a little bit before I did test out that foundation, so I can't exactly tell if it was a cause of that stick foundation that I was using that was kind of agitating my skin a little bit more, but I'm definitely now gonna be setting this foundation aside and not using it anymore. That was the last foundation I had to share with you guys. Oh my gosh. I hope that I gave you some good suggestions for foundations to test out and some of the foundations that you want to steer clear of. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that little bell button. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.